If you are here right now listening to words like these, there is a strong chance that deep inside you, you are searching for more than better English, more than motivation, and more than temporary inspiration. You are probably searching for expansion. You care about the person you are becoming when nobody is watching. You care about your mindset, your discipline, your future, your habits, your courage, and the hidden version of yourself that you know exists but may not fully live yet. That matters because the moment a person begins to care about growth beyond comfort, life changes. Most people move through life reacting. Very few choose to transform. And transformation begins when you decide that who you are today is not your final form. So today, we are talking about something powerful, something real, something that can completely reshape the way you live if you truly understand it. We are talking about becoming unstoppable. This word sounds intense. It sounds like power, force, certainty, victory. Maybe when you hear unstoppable, you imagine a person who never feels pain, never hesitates, never cries, never loses, and never questions themselves. But that image is false. It is fantasy. Real strength is not the absence of struggle. Real strength is continuing despite struggle. Being unstoppable does not mean you never break. It means you rebuild. It does not mean fear disappears. It means fear no longer controls your direction. It does not mean life becomes easy. It means your commitment becomes stronger than difficulty. This difference changes everything because many people spend their lives waiting to feel fearless before they act. They think confidence must come first. They think certainty must arrive before movement. But unstoppable people understand a deeper truth. Movement creates confidence. Action creates clarity. Persistence creates identity. Nobody becomes unstoppable by waiting. They become unstoppable by continuing. Look around and you will notice something surprising. There are brilliant people with extraordinary talent who remain stuck for years. They have ideas, intelligence, and potential, but they stop every time life becomes uncomfortable. Then there are others who may not seem exceptional at first. Maybe they are slower, maybe they are less naturally gifted, maybe they fail more often. But they keep going. They adapt, they learn, they return. And over time, these are often the people who build remarkable lives. Why? Because talent can open a door, but persistence keeps walking when the road gets hard. Persistence is often underestimated because it looks ordinary in the moment. It is not glamorous. It is repetition. It is returning after disappointment. It is trying again after embarrassment. It is choosing discipline when motivation fades. Yet, over years, ordinary persistence creates extraordinary results. So the real question is not whether you are talented enough. The deeper question is whether you are willing to continue long enough. To become unstoppable, you first need to understand something essential. You do not need to dominate every area of life at once. In fact, trying to be everything everywhere all at once often destroys progress. Many people exhaust themselves because they chase perfection in every direction. They want to master health, wealth, relationships, learning, confidence, healing, and purpose all immediately. This creates pressure, not power. Real progress often begins when you choose your focus. Ask yourself honestly, where in my life does becoming unstoppable matter most right now? Maybe it is your English. Maybe it is your healing. Maybe it is your career. Maybe it is your emotional discipline. Maybe it is your physical health. Maybe it is finally building self-respect. You do not need to conquer every mountain today, but you do need to choose which mountain matters now. Focus creates force. Direction creates momentum. Once you choose, your energy stops leaking everywhere. It begins moving with purpose. Many people wrongly believe unstoppable people simply have stronger willpower than everyone else. They imagine some people were born with greater internal strength. But often, being unstoppable is less about magical willpower and more about structure. It is about mindset, systems, habits, and interpretation. The way you interpret pain matters. The way you respond to failure matters. The environment you build matters. The standards you accept matter. Becoming unstoppable is not becoming superhuman. It is becoming deeply intentional. There are three foundational forces that shape this kind of life: clarity, resilience, and consistency. Clarity is knowing where you are going and why it matters. Without clarity, effort becomes scattered. A person can work hard every day and still feel lost if their energy has no direction. Imagine driving a powerful car with unlimited fuel but no map. You move, but movement without direction can become another form of stagnation. Many people are busy but not aligned. They are exhausted but not fulfilled. Clarity changes that. It asks, what do I truly want? Why does it matter deeply? What small action can I take now? These questions sound simple, but they can transform a life. If your goal is English, clarity means more than saying, I want to improve. It means defining what improvement means. Do you want confidence in conversations? Better career opportunities? Freedom to travel? Personal pride? When your reason becomes emotional, discipline becomes stronger. A shallow goal fades quickly. A meaningful goal endures pressure. Then comes the third question: what will I do today? Not someday, not next year, today. Because powerful futures are built through repeated present actions. Maybe it is 15 minutes of listening, 10 minutes of speaking, reading one page, practicing one conversation. Clarity turns dreams into direction, and direction turns energy into movement. Without clarity, motivation fades. With clarity, even small actions gain power because they belong to something bigger than the moment. This is where unstoppable begins, not with perfection, not with giant leaps, but with honest direction and the willingness to move with purpose even before the full path is visible. Once clarity begins shaping your direction, the second force that determines whether you rise or retreat is resilience. This is where many journeys either strengthen or collapse because life will always test what you claim matters to you. Every meaningful path includes discomfort. Every serious goal eventually introduces frustration, boredom, fear, doubt, exhaustion, confusion, and setbacks. This is not punishment. This is part of growth. Yet many people misread these experiences. They assume discomfort is proof they are on the wrong path. They think, this feels hard, so maybe this is not for me. But often, difficulty is not a stop sign. It is a training ground. Resilience is the ability to remain in motion even when the emotional weather changes. It is the decision to continue when excitement disappears and reality becomes demanding. Most people do not fail because they are incapable. They fail because they stop interpreting struggle correctly. Fear does not mean you are weak. Fear often means you are standing near growth. Boredom does not mean your dream has lost value. Boredom often means you are in the repetition stage where mastery is quietly built. Failure does not mean you are finished. Failure often means reality is giving you feedback, but your interpretation determines your response. Two people can experience the same setback and create completely different futures from it. One person says, "This proves I cannot do it." Another says, "This is painful, but this is teaching me something." One retreats, the other adapts. This difference is not talent, it is resilience. To become unstoppable, you must build the ability to stay emotionally present inside discomfort without immediately surrendering to it. This is especially important in personal growth because growth often feels awkward before it feels empowering. Think about learning English, improving your health, building confidence, or creating a new future. In the beginning, you will likely feel clumsy. You may make mistakes. You may feel embarrassed. You may compare yourself to others. You may want immediate progress. But resilience reminds you that temporary discomfort is not permanent defeat. Imagine speaking English and freezing during conversation. Many people instantly internalize this as identity. I am bad at this. I sound foolish. I should stop. But resilience shifts the inner voice. This is uncomfortable, but discomfort is part of learning. I can pause, breathe, ask for repetition, and continue. The experience may still feel hard, but the meaning changes. And meaning changes behavior. Resilience is built in these moments not when life is easy, but when you choose not to disappear during difficulty. This applies to every important area. In health, resilience means continuing after a missed week instead of abandoning yourself. In emotional healing, resilience means feeling pain without deciding pain is your permanent identity. In career, resilience means hearing no without concluding your future is closed. Resilience is not dramatic. Often, it looks like quietly refusing to quit. It looks like staying one more day, trying one more time, learning one more lesson, standing up one more morning. And here is something powerful. Resilience grows through exposure. The more often you survive discomfort without running, the stronger your mind becomes. Every time you remain in something difficult a little longer, you expand your capacity. You teach yourself, I can survive this. This is why avoiding all discomfort weakens people. Comfort can feel safe, but too much comfort can quietly shrink courage. Growth requires friction. You do not become stronger by avoiding resistance. You become stronger by meeting it repeatedly. The third force is consistency, and this is where transformation becomes visible. Consistency is where clarity and resilience become identity. Because knowing what you want means little if your actions disappear every few days. Consistency is not about intensity, it is about return. Many people mistakenly believe huge action creates success. Sometimes it helps, but more often, sustainable small actions repeated over time create greater results. The world often celebrates dramatic breakthroughs, but most breakthroughs are built through invisible repetition. Reading daily, practicing daily, returning daily, improving daily. The unstoppable person is not always the one who moves fastest. Often, it is the one who stops quitting. Consistency means refusing to constantly restart from zero. It means creating standards that remain even when motivation fluctuates. Because motivation is unreliable. Some days you will feel inspired, other days you will feel tired, distracted, or emotionally drained. If your entire future depends on motivation, progress becomes unstable. But systems protect you when emotions change. For example, if your goal is English fluency, consistency may mean you practice 15 minutes a day, whether you feel brilliant or discouraged. If your goal is health, consistency may mean a daily walk even when energy is low. These actions may seem small, but they reinforce identity. They send a message to yourself. I am someone who continues. Identity is shaped through repeated behavior. Every action becomes a vote for the person you are becoming, and consistency compounds. One day seems small, one week may feel modest, but months and years of return create lives that once felt impossible. This is why unstoppable people respect ordinary days. They understand life is not transformed only through huge moments. It is transformed through repeated ordinary choices. Day 30 matters, day 90 matters, day 300 matters. Not because each day is dramatic, but because each day strengthens the pattern. And importantly, consistency does not require perfection. Perfection is often the enemy of momentum. Many people quit because they miss one day and decide they failed. But unstoppable people think differently. Missing once is human. Giving up completely is a decision. They repair quickly. They return quickly. They do not turn one bad day into a broken identity. They understand that progress is not destroyed by imperfection, it is destroyed by abandonment. So they keep moving, even slowly, even imperfectly, even through storms. That is what creates quiet power. That is what separates temporary motivation from lasting transformation. And that is how ordinary people become extraordinary, not by never struggling, but by refusing to permanently stop. Now everything becomes more practical because understanding principles is powerful, but real transformation happens when principles enter daily life. Becoming unstoppable is not just a beautiful mindset to admire, it must become a lived structure. It must influence your mornings, your choices, your reactions, your routines, and the standards you hold when nobody is watching. So the real question becomes, how do you actually live this way in a human, sustainable, honest form? The first step is choosing your arena. You cannot build unstoppable energy everywhere at once without eventually exhausting yourself. Focus creates power. Scattered ambition often creates burnout. So ask yourself a serious question. In this season of my life, where does it matter most that I stop abandoning myself? Maybe the answer is your English. Maybe it is your physical health. Maybe it is emotional healing. Maybe it is discipline. Maybe it is your finances. Maybe it is finally building confidence after years of shrinking. Choose one or two areas that deeply matter now, not because other areas are worthless, but because concentrated energy creates momentum faster than divided energy. Imagine where you could be 5 years from now if you simply refuse to quit in one meaningful area. Think about that carefully. A person who stays committed to learning, healing, improving, or building often becomes almost unrecognizable compared to the person who constantly starts and stops. Your future is shaped less by occasional intensity and more by sustained direction. Once you choose your arena, the second step is creating a non negotiable minimum. This is crucial because many people destroy progress by making goals so large that they become emotionally overwhelming. Then, on difficult days, they do nothing. Unstoppable people think differently. They create a baseline that protects continuity. They ask, what is the smallest meaningful action I can maintain, even when life feels hard? This matters because the goal is not constant perfection. The goal is refusing to return to zero. If your chosen area is English, maybe your minimum is 10 minutes daily of listening, speaking, reading, or writing. If your area is health, maybe it is a walk, stretching, or mindful food choices. If your area is confidence, maybe it is one daily action that challenges avoidance. This minimum becomes your anchor. On strong days, you can exceed it. On hard days, you protect it because staying connected matters more than dramatic inconsistency. The third step is expecting storms instead of being shocked by them. Many people unconsciously build goals as if life will suddenly become calm, predictable, and supportive forever. But life does not work that way. Challenges will come, fatigue will come, family stress, work pressure, emotional heaviness, setbacks, and distractions will come. If you expect perfect conditions, every storm feels like a reason to stop. But unstoppable people ask a different question. They ask, how do I remain myself inside this storm? This changes everything. Maybe during a hard week, your effort becomes smaller, but it does not disappear. Maybe your study session is shorter. Maybe your workout is gentler. Maybe your healing looks like rest instead of expansion. But the key is continuity. You do not vanish from your own life. You keep the flame alive even if it burns smaller for a while. This is one of the deepest forms of strength, not maximum performance, but sustained identity during imperfection. The fourth step is refusing to fuse your identity with bad days. Everyone has bad days. Everyone has missed opportunities, emotional crashes, mistakes, and moments of weakness. But many people make a dangerous mistake. They turn one moment into identity. I failed today, so I am a failure. I skipped this week, so I always quit. I struggled, so maybe I am not capable. This mindset is destructive because it transforms temporary behavior into permanent self definition. Unstoppable people reject this. They understand one bad day is data, not destiny. A mistake is an event, not an identity. They recover faster because they refuse to build a story of hopelessness around temporary setbacks. They say, that was not my best. I return tomorrow. This simple return is more powerful than most people realize because your life is not shaped by one fall. It is shaped by how quickly you rise. The fifth step is learning to use obstacles as material rather than excuses. This is where personal responsibility becomes transformative. Obstacles are guaranteed. Limited time, fear, exhaustion, criticism, confusion, financial pressure, emotional pain. These are real. The question is not whether obstacles exist. The question is what you do with them. Many people use difficulty to explain surrender. I am too busy, too tired, too late, too behind. Unstoppable people may acknowledge the same difficulties, but they ask a more empowering question. What remains possible? Maybe you cannot do everything, but what can you do? Maybe you only have 10 minutes, but can you use them? Maybe your energy is low, but can you still do a lighter version? This mindset does not deny hardship. It simply refuses helplessness. It turns obstacles into strategy. The sixth step is protecting your environment. Energy is contagious. The voices around you influence what feels possible. If you constantly surround yourself with cynicism, fear, and defeat, your mind absorbs that. But if you intentionally expose yourself to growth oriented voices, courageous ideas, and disciplined examples, your internal world strengthens. This does not mean avoiding reality. It means choosing nourishment over poison. Books, podcasts, mentors, conversations, content, these shape your thinking. If physical support is limited, digital support can still matter. Feed your mind wisely. The final step is remembering your deeper why, because there will be moments when discipline feels heavy. You will ask yourself why this effort matters. In those moments, shallow reasons collapse. You need something deeper. Maybe you are doing this for freedom, for your future family, for self respect, for healing, for opportunity. For the younger version of yourself who once believed growth was impossible, purpose strengthens endurance. When your reason is powerful, fatigue becomes easier to survive. And this is where being unstoppable becomes deeply personal. It is not about impressing the world. It is about refusing to abandon the life inside you that still deserves a chance. So now, after everything we have explored, we arrive at the deepest truth of all. Being unstoppable is not really about becoming some perfect, fearless machine. It is not about domination, endless productivity, or pretending pain no longer exists. It is about building a relationship with yourself where quitting on your own growth is no longer your default response. It is about becoming the kind of person who, even after fear, even after doubt, even after shame, disappointment, exhaustion, mistakes, and setbacks, still finds a way to return. This is what makes a person powerful in the real world. Not fantasy strength, but return, again and again. Because life will test you. There will be seasons when progress feels invisible, days when your confidence disappears, moments when other people move ahead faster. times when your mind tells you that maybe this effort is pointless. There will be failures that embarrass you, losses that humble you, criticism that shakes you, and private battles nobody else fully sees. In those moments, many people slowly begin abandoning themselves. Not always dramatically, sometimes quietly. They lower their standards, they stop trying, they stop believing. They tell themselves stories like, maybe this is just who I am, or maybe growth is for other people. But this is where your real identity is formed. Not when things are easy, but when life asks, will you continue? And your answer over time becomes your destiny. Think about your English journey, because this applies so directly. Becoming unstoppable in English does not mean waking up tomorrow with perfect grammar, flawless pronunciation, or zero fear. It means deciding that embarrassment will not silence you forever. It means mistakes are no longer proof of incapability, but proof of practice. It means you stop treating every uncomfortable moment as evidence that you should quit. Instead, you begin seeing each awkward conversation, each misunderstood sentence, each slow improvement as part of the process. You keep contact with English. You listen, even when progress feels slow. You speak, even when your voice shakes. You read, even when it feels difficult. You return, even when you miss days. This is how transformation happens not through magic, but through sustained contact. Week after week, month after month, year after year. One day, what once felt impossible becomes natural. And people may call you lucky, they may assume it came easily, but only you will know how many times you felt like giving up and chose not to. This applies far beyond language. In health, being unstoppable means you stop making one bad week your final story. In confidence, it means rejection no longer defines your worth. In healing, it means your pain is real, but it is not your final identity. In purpose, it means confusion does not become permanent paralysis. Across every area, the principle remains the same. Rest when needed, but do not disappear. Fall when human, but do not stay there forever. Pause when necessary, but protect your return. This return is sacred because every time you return, you rebuild trust with yourself, and self trust changes everything. Many people are not lacking intelligence, they are lacking trust in their own consistency. They have broken too many promises to themselves. I will start tomorrow. I will change soon. This time will be different. But when tomorrow repeatedly collapses, self belief weakens. Becoming unstoppable often begins with rebuilding that trust through small kept promises. Promises so small they feel undeniable. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, one action, one return. You begin proving to yourself, I do what I say matters. Over time, this becomes identity. And identity is powerful because once you truly see yourself as someone who returns, setbacks lose some of their power. They hurt, but they do not define you. You understand that one difficult chapter is not the whole story. You stop demanding perfection and start protecting progress. This shift is life-changing. So, as this message comes to an end, there is one question that matters more than all others. In which area of your life are you done abandoning yourself? Not where do you wish you were perfect, not where do you hope life becomes easier, but where are you now ready to become more faithful to your own growth? Maybe it is your English, maybe your discipline, maybe your healing, maybe your courage, maybe your future. Choose it. Name it honestly. Then ask yourself one more thing. What small action will I protect even when life gets hard? Not the dramatic action, the sustainable one, the real one, the one you can return to again and again. Write it down, keep it visible, protect it like it matters, because it does. You do not control every hardship. You do not control every storm. You do not control every opinion, delay, or painful chapter, but you do control whether you stand up again. You do control whether one mistake becomes surrender. You do control whether fear gets the final word. And over the course of a life, these repeated decisions shape more than goals. They shape character, they shape identity, they shape who you become when the world is difficult. So, no, being unstoppable does not mean you never break. It means you become someone who rebuilds with intention, someone who refuses to permanently abandon what matters, someone who understands that true power is often quiet, steady, and deeply personal. A human being who keeps choosing growth, even imperfectly, even slowly, even after falling. That is real strength. That is real courage. And that is how ordinary people build extraordinary lives. Not because they never struggled, but because they decided over and over that struggle would not be the end of their story.